people.
110 years. That's how long Rahel Aguilera Mederos was sentenced for the 2019 crash on I-70 that killed 4 people. Days after the sentence was handed down, more than 2.2 million people have signed an online petition calling for Democratic Governor Jared Polis to commute his sentence. Polis's office tells us they're aware of, quote, this issue and review each clemency application individually, but we don't know if an application has been submitted. There's a number of factors that go into such a lengthy sentence, but University of Denver law professor Ian Farrell says a big one is what's called minimum mandatory sentencing.
Depending on, for example, which class of felony you have been convicted of, that gives the court a sentencing range.
But in Colorado, if you're convicted of what the state calls a crime of violence, that extends the minimum sentence for each offense.
Each of them individually might have, say, a 4-year minimum, or because it's a crime of violence, an 8-year minimum. But when you add that up consecutively over this number of charges, you get what is effectively a life sentence.
Another factor, he says, is that prosecutors, not the judge, have the power in deciding what to charge the defendant with.
If they had chosen to charge fewer offenses, then this long punishment would not have been possible.
And that's why the ACLU of Colorado hopes that this case can spark change.
So changing those laws would be a good thing. More attention to the power of the prosecutors would also be a good thing.
The charges in this case were filed by a former Jefferson County District Attorney who came before the current DA, Alexis King. King said in a statement in part Thursday that her team contemplated a different outcome and started plea negotiations, but say Aguilera Mederos denied to consider anything other than a traffic ticket. District Attorney King also said they requested the minimum sentence allowed by law, but also adds that this outcome provides the opportunity to revisit the sentence. Jenny, that's because Colorado's mandatory sentence law for violent crimes will allow the judge to reconsider or to consider reducing a sentence after 119 days.
Luis, so much of this is about the laws in Colorado. What are lawmakers talking about right now?
Well, one lawmaker, for example, State Senator Bob Gardner, told me on the phone tonight that he's looking into the case himself. He's also on the state sentencing reform task force, which he says is currently looking at felony sentencing laws. He says he's going as far as trying to get feedback from the prosecution and the defense to see if this case is something of an anomaly, and if so, is it something that they at least need to look into?
All right, Luis, thank you for your reporting.